So this is almost like the beads that you wear, 108. Right now, the planet Earth is arranging itself in the form of 108 beads around the sun.
Using the genetic code composed of 64 codons. A codon is a sequence of nucleotides in DNA or RNA that carries instructions for building proteins, the fundamental structures and functions of living organisms. These are the basic building blocks for life on this planet. In other words, the immense diversity of life emerges from combination structure around this number. Repeated doubling quickly produces a field of possibilities. This is why the powers of two are foundational in computing binary code, digital memory and information structures, as the fundamentals of our biology also is rooted in that. Or in other words, we are not creating anything new.
So a journalist was interviewing me and he asked me, Sadhguru, in India, so many people in the ancient past have worked for human consciousness. Who do you think has contributed significantly in the Western Hemisphere? Without hesitation, I said Charles Darwin. So he said, how's Charles Darwin? He's a biologist. No, in the Western Hemisphere, he is the one who put this idea, if a life strives, it can go beyond its limitations. These limitations are not God-given. These limitations are not absolute. If one is willing to strive, he can go beyond these limitations. Even, a pig can become an elephant, a goat can become a giraffe, not a small change, isn't it? I will not talk about the monkeys, okay? So this possibility that if a human being strives, he can go beyond his limitations. Then, this is close to 15,000 years ago, they asked this question, does it mean to say we can change our physicality, that we can evolve? So Adiyogi said, your physical evolution is complete. And he gave mathematical references as to why it is so. So when they asked, can our bodies evolve? He referred to their bodies and he said, there are 114 junction points of energy in the system, which in yogic systems we are referring to as chakras. There are 114 chakras. Out of this, 2 are outside the body, 112 in the body. Out of this 112, there are 4 about which you can do nothing. They will blossom if everything else is activated. There are 108 that you can work with. So because of this, you will see traditionally, if you wear beads, it's 108. If you chant a mantra, it's 108. If you go around an energy space, 108. This is because there are 108 things that one needs to do if he wants to have a complete mastery over the human mechanism itself. This has very beautifully found manifestation in the planetary system in which we live. 108 times the diameter of the Earth is the diameter of the Sun. The diameter of the Sun 108 times is the distance between the Sun and the Earth. Diameter of the Moon into 108 times is the distance between Moon and Earth. And in terms of how the Earth's orbit is divided, even that amounts to 108. For example, the positions that the Earth takes around the Sun is called one nakshatra. There are 27 nakshatras. Nakshatra is not a star, it is a measuring unit here. There are 27 nakshatras and These 27 also indicate one half of the lunar cycle. The 27 nakshatras means 13.5 lunar months, and that's how the lunar calendar functions. A nakshatra is divided into 4 padas, that means 1/8 of the moon's cycle, which is approximately 3.5 days. 27 nakshatras into 4 padas is 108 padas in 1 year. So with the completion of 1 year, there are 108 padas. So this is almost like the beads that you wear, 108. Right now, the planet Earth is arranging itself in the form of 108 beads around the sun, and accordingly you use 108 beads whenever you wear. This is almost like beads around the sun's circumference. Based on this, knowing the connection between the celestial system and the human system, many things were evolved and developed. It's very uncanny that now in the last 6 years, the neuroscientists in the world are saying the same things. This has been a search, can we evolve human brain beyond its present limitations? So, neuroscientists today are saying that you cannot evolve the human brain any further, not because of neurological principles, but because of physical laws on the planet. The only way you can evolve this is increase the size of the neurons, that is one way, or increase the number of neurons, that's another way. If you increase the number of neurons in your brain, the clarity will go away. A lot of children are born like this. They're brilliant, but they can't figure anything because there's no clarity. As they grow up, some amount of brain killing will happen naturally, and then they become stable. If they don't, they'll always be scattered. Another way is to increase the size of the neuron. If you increase the size of the neuron, the volume of energy that an individual neuron consumes will be so high. Even now, if you are in a restful position right now, 20% of your energies are being consumed by your brain right now. It's a very high energy consuming part of your body. This much of body consumes 80%. This much of brain I'm sorry, don't be insulted by the size, okay, this much of brain is consuming 20% of the energy. If you increase the size of the neuron, it will consume 30 to 40%. That means it'll become unsustainable. So today, neuroscientists are saying physical laws on the planet will not allow further growth of human brain. We can only learn to use it better, but we cannot grow a bigger brain. This Adiyogi said 15,000 years ago. He said, your physical evolution is complete because the solar system will not allow. Unless some dramatic changes happen in the solar system, you cannot physically evolve, but there are other ways to evolve, and he taught the methods as to how a human being can evolve beyond his limitations, and it need not be a physical evolution. It does not mean you lost your tail and you have to grow horns. It means that there are other ways to evolve which need not be physical.
Pranam, we've been composing music for the last 23 years now, as Shankar, Ehsan, Loy. One thing that's fascinated me is always been the concept of three. I see the association of the number three with various aspects like Newton, proton, electron, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, and we are also three of us composing music. So, what is the relevance of three? What is the importance of three, and what is the effect of three?
Namaskaram to the Trimurtis of Shankar, Ehsan, Loy. Well, there are Trimurtis, Trinetra, Trishula, Trikala. All these things are evolution of ideas from the fundamental experience of human life. All human experience is rooted in these three things. Our memory belongs to the past, which is called as the Bhutakala. Our experience always is Vartamana or the present, and our imagination and aspirations are always of the future, which is bhavishya. So essentially, human experience of life happens between memory, experience and imagination. Based on this, many aspects which spring from these three experiences were crystallized in our culture as three: Trinetra, Trikala, Trishula, and all of and you guys, Trimurtis. So this fundamental needs to be understood, that all these three dimensions exist in Vartaman. All this past and future actually exists now, because it's only now that you can remember, it is only now that you can imagine. There's a whole lot of teaching going around in the world, particularly in United States, but I think it has also hit the western coast of India. People are going about talking, be in the moment, be in the moment. They are worshippers of the present. But I do not understand why somebody is telling you to be in the moment, because you cannot be anywhere else. Where else can you be? Can somebody show me where else they can be other than be in the moment? So we are anyway rooted in Vartaman, but our memories are of the past, our imaginations and aspirations are of the future. So essentially, people who worship only today, people who worship only the present, they are telling you just be in the moment, do not think about the past, do not think about the future. Well, it took millions of years to bring this level of cerebral capability, for this brain to blossom like this, to be able to have a vivid sense of memory and a fantastic sense of imagination. It took millions of years of evolutionary work. But today, somebody is telling you, let's junk all that and be like an earthworm. I have nothing against earthworm, it's a very eco-friendly creature. But all this evolutionary work that has happened upon us to bring us to this level of cerebral capability should not be surrendered to some simple philosophy. The reason why people are saying this is because the only two fundamentals of people's misery is just this. People can suffer what happened 10 years ago. People can suffer what may happen day after tomorrow already. This means they are not suffering life, they are suffering their memory and their imagination, two most fantastic faculties that a human being has. It is these two faculties of vivid sense of memory and a fantastic sense of imagination which sets us apart from every other creature. This they want to surrender because they don't know how to handle their thought and emotion. If you could joyfully remember and with great exuberance and ecstasy imagine things, why would you want to surrender that? It is just that your memories and your imaginations have become compulsive and they're creating a world of misery. So people are talking about how to forget the past, how to not think about the future. This is not the way to conduct human life. It's very important. All these trikalas are there, the three dimensions, the trishulas are there, and trinetras are there, the three dimensions of seeing life and experiencing life is there. And we are very glad the Trimurtis of Shankar, Ishan and Loy are there. Please make some wonderful music and let's celebrate the Trimurtis. The number 64 repeatedly appears across very different domains of life, science and mathematics. In biology, for example, all known life on earth is built using the genetic code composed of 64 codons. A codon is a sequence of nucleotides in DNA or RNA that carries instructions for building proteins, the fundamental structures and functions of living organisms. These are the basic building blocks for life on this planet. In other words, the immense diversity of life emerges from combination structure around this number. Even at the very beginning of human life, the pattern shows up. After the egg is fertilized, It begins as a single cell, then divides rapidly 1 to 2, then to 4, and 8, 16, 32, and finally 64 cells. 64 cell stage is a crucial milestone where the cells first begin to differentiate, deciding whether to become part of an actual fetus, which will become a fresh life, or supporting material around that. Beyond biology, 64 is also important in mathematics and in information systems, as everybody who's involved in information technology today knows. In computing, 64-bit architecture became foundational because powers of 2 naturally emerge in binary systems. In mathematics, 64 is 2 to the power of 6, meaning 6 stages of doubling. Starting from 1 unit, repeated doubling quickly produces a field of possibilities. This is why the powers of 2 are foundational in computing binary code, digital memory and information structures, as the fundamentals of our biology also is rooted in that. Or in other words, we are not creating anything new in our life. We are only in some way replicating life. The more closely we observe life, the more we can create, which is lifelike. And from this basis, across various systems in this civilization that we refer to as Bharat or Hindustan, or today as a nation we are called India, 64 appears in many different ways. 64 arts of classical Indian education, 64 squares of Ashtapada or the present-day chessboard, which itself is a cosmological diagram. The 64 tantras, and in some lineages 64 extraordinary siddhis are powers to be attained. So the number 64 appears in various forms.